Welcome back to Good Morning San Diego. Later this morning, Vista Mayor John Franklin will deliver his State of the City address. He joins us now with a preview. Thank you so much, Mayor, for coming in. I know you have a big morning ahead of you.
Indeed.
But this is something that I think you're excited to share because there are quite a few success stories for Vista.
I am. Well, it's timely. So we're announcing a lot of investments in our fire service, including buying 5 brand new engines, brush rigs, and an ambulance and other apparatus. Well, we've recently added 12 new firefighters, which is a large addition to our fire service in Vista, bringing us to just under 100 firefighters. We've made major investments. We had a fire that you didn't have to cover in the news about a week ago, the Mar Vista fire, which we extinguished in 21 minutes from dispatch. And when I went out to survey the scene, I was amazed by the amount of combustible material that didn't burn because our firefighters put it out quickly.
It's that investment in critical infrastructure as well that I know is important to you, having seen sort of what struggles other communities are having with budgets. Can you talk a little bit about why putting that investment there is so important for you?
No, it's a great question. Vista does things like depreciating our capital assets. So the day that we buy a fire engine, we begin to save for the new fire engine. And we have a whole fleet of brand new rigs in Vista because we plan to purchase rigs when they're at the end of their life. And our rigs go to other cities that don't plan as well financially. You know, I ran for mayor 10 years ago, almost 12 years ago, because Vista was in deficit for 7 years. The county's in deficit this year. We see the effects of deficit in Los Angeles, where a failure to control spending and to really emphasize critical priorities, which are not always the sexy ones, right? It's not always the things that you get to announce and hand to people on the television news. Spending on your fire department and making sure you're staffed and you have the right equipment is only important when it's important. But it's times like these that we see that those kind of investments matter, which is why a balanced budget, a city with a large strategic reserve like Vista has today, didn't have any reserves when I was first elected. These things matter. Fiscal responsibility in government and putting our money into the correct things that people will need one day when it's an emergency. And we know it's not a matter of if they'll need them, it's just a matter of when.
Right.
So that planning is super important, and I'm really proud of the success story we have to tell in Vista because of it.
It's so true. I mean, that financial planning ahead for emergencies is what residents really rely on. I want to talk about the homeless situation before we run out of time, because that is something that Vista has struggled with, a growing homeless population. Where are we now, and what do you plan to talk about in your address?
So Vista is in the same boat as the entire county. Homeless numbers have risen dramatically countywide and statewide, but Vista is really doing something about it. A year ago, actually it was March of 24, we opened the Buena Creek Navigation Center with beds for 48 individuals that are navigating their way into permanent housing. Today I'm going to introduce Steve, who's one of our success stories, one of our many success stories, who's now permanently housed and doing great. Somebody called me and told me there's a memory care facility that's going out of business and they're in need of a buyer. And I looked at this property and I said, this would be a great place for young people. They were actually closing it because it was a 3-story building with no elevator. And I said, you know, this would be great for young people, foster youth who are aged out and homeless. We have a huge number of foster youth who, through no fault of their own, become homeless in their early life. And those transition age youth between 18 and 24, those are people that an investment in the early years of their life to get them stable and permanently housed, that makes a difference for their entire life, and it can prevent a cycle of homelessness that can repeat throughout their life. So I'm really, it's a real priority for me to invest in foster youth. That younger category, they call it transition age youth or TAY. It's a super important investment because we can change the outcome for these young people's entire lives. So we're passionate about that. A big announcement, we're going to be able to house 13 young people that are transitioning into permanent, stable housing in a really first-class facility that I'm excited for you to come see because it is such a gorgeous place.
I mean, that's a population that a lot of times gets overlooked when we talk about the homeless population, but inflation and rising costs of housing have hit a certain sector of that population. So it's great to see that that's being addressed in creative ways. So that's 13 success stories that we're hoping to share there. I know there's new restaurants and retail quickly that you want to get to that will also be announced.
Trader Joe's is big for Vista.
But the question is the parking lot large enough, John?
It is. You know, thankfully, it's in North County Square, where we have a tremendous amount of parking. In fact, maybe too much. Past city leaders had a huge emphasis on building large quantities of parking. So we're taking a look at that. But residents have asked for Trader Joe's for many years, and I and other city leaders have doggedly pursued a relationship with Trader Joe's. And I'm going to be honest with you, it was when we stepped up our commitment to defend our retail stores, when we said we're going to keep the neighborhood clean, we're going to stop shoplifters, and that was an initiative that I brought 2 years ago that continues, where we are actively stopping shoplifters. Our deputies got in an actual bloody battle a couple of weeks ago with shoplifters. My message for shoplifters is, if you come to steal in Vista, you will be caught, you will be stopped. If physical force is necessary, our deputies are ready to do their job. We are going to prosecute you. We are implementing Prop 36. I'm working with the district attorney, and I personally, I dive into the names and the case numbers, and I have regular phone calls with the assistant district attorneys, and I'm asking them what the status is of these cases. I want to know that our deputies work, especially when they go into harm's way, when they get injured making arrests. I want to know that those arrests result in successful prosecutions. I want to know the judges are handing out sentences. The crime wave that we've seen in this state has to come to an end. When we demonstrate our commitment to protect our retail stores, then we get more employees, we get new retail investments, and we get a vibrant, thriving city. This is the reason that we fight crime, is because crime is the enemy of economic success. It's the enemy of a safe, clean, productive, and successful city. I'm really proud of what we're doing in Vista, and so excited to share our success stories today.
All right, well said. Mayor John Franklin, thank you so much for the time this morning, and we'll see your State of the City address coming up at 11 o'clock.
Thank you.
All right.